Hold on, hold on. Good morning, people. So this morning I got a little later start because we had visitors last night. A group who came from Spain, and sometimes it takes a few minutes to get the mind going. We've got wonderful readings this morning. The second reading makes you think a lot, and the first reading sounds a little bit like a complete contrast to the prophet Amos. All the readings we've had this week so far, and it's just beautiful consolation. And sometimes parents show tough love to their kids, and then there's a moment when there are big hugs, maybe there are tears, and there's a complete renewal of confidence and love, of relationship. And it's so encouraging, consoling. And this beautiful image, the prophets are such poets. On that day I will raise up the fallen hut of David. I will wall up its breaches. It's kind of interesting that it's so appropriate for today. Even as a message, you could repeat the same words. And God's looking at humanity, and I'm sure He's looking at all the conflicts in the world and all the situations of the world, all the marriages, all the families, and our own hearts, which are often so broken, so disappointed, so frustrated. A lot of boats were out here yesterday on the lake, and jet skis and all kinds of sports and fun. I'm sure today as well is going to be like that, God willing. People having a little summer relaxation here in the Sea of Galilee. I'm going to stop at the end of this walkway, okay? I'm not going to keep walking. So it's really worthwhile to ponder and read that. Some of the imagery is very human in terms of human ambitions to conquer others And the full plan of redemption, that won't be the relationship we will have with others. When we reach spiritual maturity, even in this world, we just want the good of others. We don't want to conquer anybody. We just want everyone to discover reconciliation, to rebuild. There are beautiful agrarian images as well here. Vineyards, gardens. Lack of conflict, serenity between people. And the psalm picks this up. Psalm 85, the Lord speaks of peace to his people. So the prophets oftentimes have to speak words of instruction and correction. And today they speak of peace to his people. We need to convert. At times we go the wrong road. The Lord isn't there to punish us, he's there to redeem us. If there is a sign of punishment, it's a sign of love. It's a sign of will to recover. It's not easy for parents to educate children, very strong-willed children, maybe children that have been hurt because of some influence. They have been misled and false freedoms indulged in, create expectations and misunderstandings and quite mixed up expectations about life. It's not easy to bring an addict back to the right path. And addictions can be not just to substances but also to patterns of behavior. And then we have this extraordinary imagery of the Gospels. There are quite a few. A very powerful one. The intimation is Jesus calls himself the groom. How is Jesus the groom? And that's the imagery of the Hebrew scriptures, especially the prophet Hosea. That God is the groom of his people. And that's a very big statement again. Really one of the biggest principles of understanding the Gospels is, and getting the core punch of the different statements, is that it's affirming the divinity of Jesus. And this is obviously a point then that distinguishes those who are Christian and not Christian as belonging to the Christian faith. So it's said in a way that is very gentle. And in fact, that happens a lot in the entire Gospels. These are statements that are said and you kind of have to get it. And yet, if you happen to know that language, then you really, it really hits you between the eyes. And obviously there was a lot of that kind of understanding also, a veiled understanding, but it was very clear to people in the know. And the religious authorities picked up on these things. And that tension with Jesus was there, right? And then there are two other images about the wine and the wineskins, the new wine and the old wine, repairing cloth, I remember living at home as a child. There was lots of darning and lots of patching. And to be careful not to use a new piece of cloth to fix a tear in an old piece, in an old trousers, an old shirt, because in the wash it would shrink and would re-tear again. All the work would be in vain and there'd be waste of material. Following Jesus then in his teaching, everything, it required also some new patterns of, or renewed new attitudes in the practice, in religious practice, like here in this case in fasting. The discussion of John the Baptist's disciples, the questions they ask. Well, people, lots of things to ponder here. And I would say especially let's emphasize that message of consolation after all the hard words of Amos this week. And also when the way you educate your children, the way you strengthen each other as spouses, as family, neighbors, friends. Sometimes there are words that are clear and difficult to speak, but also the words of consolation are very important. And that they be authentic from the heart, not spoken by dictators and people who impose, but people who are inviting always to good. Also at work, if there's responsibility to celebrate, to allow people to participate well. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators.